My name's Perry Goodfriend.
I'm Carole Scott.
Stacey Hopkins.
And Sheri Stewart.
And today is May 5th, 2010, and we just completed a meeting with Johnny Isakson's State Director, Tricia Chastain. And we wanted to talk to each other and to you about what went on in the meeting. So, Stacey, what stood out for you about the meeting?
I think Ms. Chastain, as a representative of Isakson's office, was very open and concerned about many of the issues that we were, and there was a sense of a willing to compromise and meet the common ground. To me, it was very productive and a great start.
I also found it very productive and a very pleasant experience. I think it was a good example of what the coffee party is about, that we know we stand in different places on some of the issues, and that came up during the discussion, and yet we had a full hour of very civil, respectful discussion where we weren't calling each other names and we weren't expressing any hatred or vilification of each other, and it allowed us to get into a healthier, deeper discussion about some of the issues.
She was very willing to listen to us, and I think she'll be getting back with us with some good answers.
And I like to believe that she will take some of the things that we said to her back to the senator, and that it might affect him a bit in the future. One point she made to us, which I think was a very important point, was that we all need to continue to let our opinions be known. But she talked about getting 10,000 emails a week, primarily from their base, and so it's hard for them to realize that there's so many of us out there that may feel differently about the issues. So we need to, I think, encourage each other and find ways to help each other send in our feelings, in easy ways and regularly, not just one time and think that that's it, but all the time, let our senators and our representatives know how we stand on things so that they don't think that the majority of people out there are the screaming, angry ones.
One of the things that stood out about her was that when she said she was going to go back and talk to him and to look things up, that I really felt like she was actually going to go do it. What got me was the thing on Wall Street reform where she kept saying, well, they're debating it now, but she was pretty insistent that the senator felt that we should wait until the report comes out in December. To me, that's just too long, but I'm glad she sat and she listened to us.
There has to be something done right now, because all the bailout did was reset everyone to the same point that they were in the beginning, and the American people realize that.
What do you think are the takeaways, Stacey?
In terms of education, specifically to No Child Left Behind, where we can find ways to improve it, being that Senator Isakson was one of the co-authors of the original bill. What can be done to enhance it, being that it's coming up for reauthorization. So she seemed very attentive and willing to listen. I invited her to come talk to some areas of Atlanta, specifically the South Fulton area of Atlanta, to actually see how No Child Left Behind is being implemented in those schools.
Even though No Child Left Behind might be working in some ways, it's a huge failure in other ways, and hopefully they will go forward trying to figure out what works and then what needs to be improved, or just completely, new ideas coming in to make our education system better. I'm concerned for the future of our country when the teachers are telling me that education is just, it's in chaos, and especially now with no money. So it's a huge issue.
It would be great if more of our elected officials would be leaders and not worry so much about re-election. I feel like that's more a symptom of modern times, that we used to have politicians who would run as a way of serving the public and being public servants, and in modern times we have career politicians, and I don't think that that's necessarily the way to serve the country and make progress. Say to the voters, look, maybe you're not gay and lesbian, but your neighbors are, and I represent them as well, or whatever the issue is. Or, we have legal aliens here who are being discriminated against, so we need to change that. So being leaders in those ways and representing the minority voices as well.
We really need people in Congress to be leaders and not to just, throw out those talking points that, especially with the Republicans, because they've all got their Frank Luntz talking points and they just repeat them and repeat them. We're really tired of hearing all that, and we just want some honesty and some realness.
We hope that more elected officials will be honest and will be leaders, and even if they believe something that their base may not support, if they feel that it really is something that will help the country move along, hopefully they can be honest and not be hypocritical about that.
At some point, someone is going to leave the table unhappy. It may be us sometimes, it may be them. But for the greater good of this country, we have got to get it together, and there's still work to be done. So we need to work with these officials to get the best government that we can. Our founding fathers, they admitted this by saying our imperfect union. They realized that it was imperfect to start with and that it would need constant improvement. And through that, it can only be improved through input and participation of people in the civic process.
It's easy for us when we don't meet face-to-face with people who have different stances than we do about issues. It's easy to think that they are an enemy of some sort or people we wouldn't want to be around, and yet when you can sit at a table and have an hour-long conversation with someone who probably disagrees with me on a lot of the issues, but it does give us a chance to find common ground. So it reinforced my belief in this as part of the process.
For me, the biggest takeaway was when she said that, well, okay, so when he's not crossing the aisle and not being in dialogue with other people, that go ahead and call him on it. Right. And I think that's a crossover, not just with Senator Isakson, but that crosses over to all politicians. I mean, it's not just let them know what you want, let them know when they're not doing the job you want them to do. If one of the reasons we started the coffee party was to get government to work again. So one of the ways to get government to work is to get people to talk. So regardless of what stand we want to take, if we see he's being stubborn and he's not crossing the aisle, he's not making an effort, then we need to call them on it. Any politician, we need to call them on it. And that's my biggest takeaway.
And on the other side of the coin, she mentioned showing appreciation for when he does the right thing. And I think that's very important for all of us to remember. We do spend a lot of time trying to fight against things that we think are wrong, but to let them know when they've done it right. I felt good about the conversation, and I do hope we have further conversations with her and the senator, and that other people out there also choose to have these kinds of visits with their own elected officials. No matter whether your official represents your party affiliation or not, which in this case it does not, it's really nice to put a face to the people who are there doing the work for us and for them to put faces to those of us who have different opinions about the issues.
It all starts with a conversation. If you want action, which I think we all do, you can't do that until you can sit down and have a civil discussion and a debate about what action should be taken. We haven't all played our parts. We need to come out to these events. We need to have our voices, not just email. Go to the town hall meetings. Sign up for their websites and get the information. Go to their appearances and remain involved in the events and most importantly, your civic duty. That's your responsibility as an American citizen. But I urge everyone, do something. Just do something.
Think it's patriotic.
Mm-hmm.